Today on Coffee and Questions, we're gonna look at some questions and drink some coffee, I guess. Pete's regular half-calf oat milk latte. Look at that. Half of the title is done. That's the coffee part. Man, I love this music. If you haven't checked out Lou Golovina's music, the lovely and talented Lou Golovina is what I should have said. Please go check it out. She's awesome. I love gypsy jazz. Love gypsy jazz. I can't play it, but I love it. It's just like, that's my reggae. You know, some people like love reggae. I kind of hate reggae unless I'm on vacation. If I'm on my vacation, give me reggae, all of that. If I'm not on vacation, it just kind of makes me angry that I'm not on vacation. So, like, why would I want to listen to that? But gypsy jazz, I could listen to that all day long. Also, Lou's husband, Sergey Golovin, he's a bonkers player. Go check out his site too. Really amazing stuff. So yeah, go check that out. The comment of the week goes to Frankenmetal18. For hip hop, iPhone X sounds better. I love this comment because it is commented in the same spirit that test was done. I mean, Our first questions are about the iPhone X as a guitar mic video. Like, come on, should we really be discussing this? I don't know if this is trolling. And why didn't you point the iPhone at the cab? Yes, the whole thing was a little bit of trolling, mostly because, like me and you guys, I watch videos all the time. One of my favorites, Tom Bukovac, he shoots the whole thing on his iPhone. It sounds amazing. Amazing. But does it though? Yes, it's super pleasing because all the mids are kind of scooped out. Like, this bottom end is pushed up and everything is compressed. So I wanted to see what was happening. If you put an SM57 up in the room, it sounds like doo-doo. I mean, how many of us have tried, the first time you tried to mic a guitar cab and you plug in and you rip away and then you go listen back and you're just gobsmacked at how crap it sounds, right? I think most of us have had that experience. And then the iPhone videos come along and they're like, yeah, that's super pleasing. I love listening to that. I have no problem. It takes no finesse and no skill. But really, what are we listening to? Yeah, it's fine. It's totally good. And I think there's value and there's information to be gained by listening to iPhone videos because, in a way, they may be a little more natural because you're picking up all the room reflections in the microphone. So I just wanted to take some measurements and see like what it was. And actually, could I use an iPhone recording in a mix? I have recorded little bits of acoustic guitar or piano or vocals on an iPhone and used it almost as a sample. That works great. Why didn't I point my whatever $1,500 iPhone directly at a 412 guitar cabinet with a 100-watt head coming at it? Because I didn't want to blow up the microphone. I don't know if you can, but you certainly can blow up mics. I have blown up my Royer 121 3-4 times now, so I just wasn't willing to take the risk. Then about blending, I would love to be able to mix the iPhone sound with the SM57 sound, but you really can't. The iPhone records at a variable frame rate. That means while the SM57 track is perfectly going along at a steady pace in terms of its timing, the iPhone track will kind of speed up and slow down. You don't hear that because it's recording in line with that. But when you align it to a track that has the steady frame rate, it drifts. So after 30 seconds or a minute, what you end up with is a slapback delay. They don't blend. You can't get them in phase, or if you have them in phase, they'll be out of phase 5 seconds later. Sadly, I don't think there's a workaround. I've tried, I've looked. If you know a workaround to this, let me know. If you're any of those like video software ninjas, let me know. Dave Turner Official, have you ever played a Washburn N4 and would love to see you do a comparison between the MP-1 rack and the MP-1 channel pedal. I've never had an N4 in my lap. At NAMM, I went up and felt it. I was shocked at how kind of flat the neck was, and they look super cool. I have a feeling, though, that it's just going to be so like specific with that Bill Lawrence pickup. I have used Bill Lawrence pickups before, that all you could do is play Nuno stuff on it. I'm not really sure. I'd love to get one day. Phil McKnight has one that he painted that just, every time I see it behind him, I'm like, oh, that's so good. And then the ADA MP-1 and the ADA MP-1 channel. So there is the rack unit. And then ADA was purchased by some other company, I believe, and then they put out this pedal. I did have them both at one time, and that was when I was being a little stingy with putting out videos. I should have just thrown it up there and shown you. They do sound very similar. They don't, however, have a way of doing one-to-one on the controls. If your favorite setting is this on the rack, you can't just recreate that with the pedal. I think they missed the mark there. That's a little bit of a bummer. Also, preamp pedals to me are the worst invention. They're the devil's pedal. I hate the idea of preamp pedals. And then what are you going to do? You turn it off? That's your amp. Why would you bypass your preamp pedal? I get it if you just want to bypass, but that's what the tuner pedal's there for. So what is that? Why did they do that? Make a rack mount ADA MP-1 with knobs so that we can get to the knobs. That's really, I think, if there was a downfall, because that unit was incredibly successful, that was the downfall. There was no knobs on it. You just reach and grab it, because I think it sounds better than its aesthetic gives it credit for. Now, if I was to hand that to some player who is, well, let's say a younger player, they'd be like, that's an 80s rack thing. But that thing sounds pretty good. I believe an ADA MP-1 can give any preamp a run for its money. Any preamp. Marbles me. You must have worked on some pretty successful projects. Anything we might know? Yes, definitely some things you would know. I am sure everyone who's watched this has heard some of my music somewhere, because for the past 15 plus years, I've been working on movie trailers. So most of the big projects of superheroes, Transformers, and all, anything with a laser or gun or super high drama, I've had some kind of music in. And so that's my main gig. When I was in my 20s, I was a pop music producer. Maybe the worst time ever to be a pop music producer, because the record company industry was sort of dying. And what all the jobs were is taking Disney TV show girls mostly and trying to give them a hit single in a terrible music genre. It was brutal, but I did some work with the Baha Men. I did Selena Gomez's first single. So that was kind of fun. And as I could get away from that, I got to do some pretty awesome guitar-related music productions. I have written and produced some stuff with Eric Gales. So if you don't know Eric Gales is an absolute genius guitar player. I did a live album with John Sykes, the John Sykes, who is the guitar player for the '87 Whitesnake album, minus one solo. He did a live tour in Japan, and I went and I recorded it, and then we mixed it together. I mixed it, and he was so awesome, and he'd be like, "It looks like you need some more tea, mate." And he'd come in and give me some tea, and we worked out of his studio. So that was just like, whoa, amazing, because I'm here, I'm mixing in his studio, and right there is his like Mesa Boogie gear and his Jose Marshall and his Les Paul and his Jackson and Fender Strat. It was pretty mind-blowing. He's like such a gentleman. We had some really cool conversations. He is awesome. And a true rock star, because when you're in his presence, it's like, dang, who's that guy? Just shows up, and it's like, oh, he's someone. Really, it's interesting when you're around famous people. They're famous for a reason. And I work in a little box by myself for a reason. That brings me to Philip Sayce, who is a dear friend of mine. I produced Peace Machine. That was his first album. We've written a bunch of stuff together, and I produce a song here and there every few albums. But he has a new album called Spirit Rising that we produced 2 tracks that I'm super proud of. That is out now, so you should definitely check that out. I'm going to have Philip on the channel, and we'll do a little chat and interview and stuff. He is unbelievable. I have worked on movies and TV shows and stuff, but more recently, like, I've scored video games like Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, Blacklist, Splinter Cell Conviction. I've done Forza Motorsport 6 and 7. We love being involved with that one. So yeah, I'm around. But you know, there's this quote in Moonrise Kingdom that Ed Norton is the scout leader, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what's your real job?" Ed says, "I'm a math teacher." And after walking for a minute, he goes, "I'd like to change my answer. I'm a scout leader. My real job is a scout leader. I'm a math teacher on the side." And that just really like cracked me up and really hit home, because for a long time I felt like, nah, I'm a Little League baseball coach. That's my real job. And I'm a composer on the side. Pretty pictures. Ow! Oh, ESP Guitars Japan. Look at this. I find this beautiful. I have a real soft spot for this ESP shape, the M2. I think it's all the, like, watching Queensryche videos over and over. This is awesome and really an interesting finish. 45th anniversary model in hydrangea pink. I also bet you this is like $5,000. So we out. Pretty picture. The Solar guitar really struck me. Cool picture. I think his wife takes those photos. That's really cool. I love the binding on the guitars. It's really a nice shape. It's $7.99. That's pretty good. No, that's pretty great. One day. I just, you know what? I don't like the headstock. That's my only issue on the Solar guitars, is that it's so pointy. I'm kind of worried that I'm going to take an eye out. Pretty. And this picture from Walt Grace Vintage. That's got to be a Carina Body Gibson. Is that new or vintage? Dude, a stack of Marshall heads behind it. And there's just so much to love about this picture. What day is it?
October?
No, it's Vintage Guitar Magazine Day. We're going back in time. Okay, we are going to dig into the oldest guitar magazine that I have. July 1984, Alex Lifeson. Look how young Alex Lifeson is. I mean, he's looking good. Oh, this is gonna be the most 80s guitar magazine that ever was. I'm not even sure if that's racist, but this is really 80s. Robert Plant. I think this is just pictures to hang up. Like, I don't even think this is an ad. It's just like, look at the cool pictures. Pretty stupid BMI ad touting the Stray Cats. Oh, Dust in the Wind. That is the first song I learned to play all the way through. Big interview with Jocko. You know, the old guitar magazines had so much bass stuff. I think it was about half bass. And they didn't separate it. This is like the second full-on bass tab. But geez, they needed their own magazine. Rush. That was a bad choice to put this sideways. Oh, look at this. It's got all those Marshalls behind them. I think those are called Town and Countries. Town and Countrymen? This is Grace Under Pressure era. Yeah, Spirit of Radio. New product releases. Anything of note here? Oh, the Boss HM2. There's not much to write about for guitars in 1984, apparently. Look, they're reviewing the Eurythmics. Oh, more bass. Billy Sheehan of Talus. Oh, you know what, guys? I have never listened to Talus. I am going to put a clip of Talus up right now. Now, I haven't heard it, but I'm thinking it has a lot of like. Sheehan has been quoted as saying that his goal is to someday play a solo bass for half an hour in front of thousands of people without boring any of them. I bet you he has not achieved that goal. So I guess they opened up for Van Halen at once upon a time, and maybe that's where Dave and Billy kind of made their connection. Because it seemed like Billy was the first guy in Dave's band. I actually think Billy's an underrated bass player as a bass player. I think he can play some really tasty bass. He just goes a little off the rails sometimes. Oh yeah. Yeah, win a digital delay, just like Duran Duran. Why is Duran Duran in this picture? All right. So I learned that 1984 is too far back. There's just nothing interesting to write about in guitar worlds in 1984. So, you know, that's as far as we're going to go. We'll find something later to look at. If they're really interesting, I'll do their own video on it. But if we're just going to flip through a few pages, we'll just stick them at the end here. All right, gang. Thanks again. Thank you for all the support this month. You know, it's funny. There's like analytics on YouTube that tells you what's going on as a provider. And it's sometimes like, yay, they show balloons and stuff. And other times they're like, you're a little disappointed in you. And every time I look, it's like, oof, man, it's like your dad talking to you. It kind of made me rethink like parenting a little bit. It's like my kid will do good. He'll hit a double. And I'll be like, yeah, but that slide was pretty crap into second base, wasn't it? Like, I think that's what YouTube does. It like nags you to keep you moving. So, you know, I have to rethink my approach. Anyway, guys, thanks. I got some cool stuff coming up for this upcoming week. So please like and subscribe, and you will catch it. We'll see you in the week. Bye now.